Go Boomhauer! Sorry, Bill, but I gotta back a winner.
Please don't put on Dido. Please don't put on Dido. No, Dido!
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. It's been 4 years, peeps. 4 whole years since I did my first King of the Hill review. And yet in all that time, I haven't talked about a single episode that focuses on Boomhauer. I mean, it's not entirely my fault. There aren't exactly a ton of Boomhauer episodes to choose from, but even still, it's shocking I've gone this long without doing anything. In fact, I think he's the only Rainy Street resident who I haven't talked about.
What about Joseph?
I mean, some characters like Min and Connie haven't had dedicated videos, but I've talked about them enough in other vids that I think I can cross them off the list.
There's also Joseph.
And if you think Gracie counts, you're just being nitpicky.
Is including Joseph being nitpicky?
So today, we're rectifying that and taking a look at the episode Dang Ol' Love. For the record, I thought my first Boomhauer episode was going to be Patch Boomhauer since it's been requested many times over the years, but when I did the poll, you intellectuals made it clear that you'd prefer a review of this one. Also, just a warning, if you watch my videos with your kids, this episode talks about some naughty things. The episode starts early in the morning on Rainy Street. We get a couple of shots of Hank and Boomhauer sleeping soundly with their significant others before switching to Bill hanging in the alley.
Hey, kid, you want to hang out in the alley until my friends get up?
I'm working!
Obviously, the episode is trying to re-establish Bill's loneliness, while also pointing out that he's the only one with an unsuccessful love life. But there's two things that make me raise an eyebrow. Firstly, why didn't they show Dale and Nancy to push the point further? This is season 6, so those two would be back together at this point. Maybe it was a time restraint thing, or maybe the artist just didn't feel like drawing Nancy at all, since she is nowhere to be seen in this episode. Second, it's dawn. Goodness gracious, Bill, when are you not drinking? Bill continues to stew in his loneliness when this happens.
Peggy, Bobby, I just met a woman!
Wow, that's kind of sad. Bill's so lonely he considers that meeting a woman.
Dale! Nancy, Joseph, I just met the woman who will bear my children. Is this a good school district?
Oh, it's much worse than I thought. Bill is to the point where a lady acknowledging his existence has him genuinely believing they are in a relationship. Thank good golly goodness this didn't happen during the age of OnlyFans. Bill's yelling wakes up Boomhauer, who forgets for a second that he's not alone.
Still here?
I thought I'd make you breakfast.
Oh wow, Boomhauer, you struck gold.
Hang gliding less, man. I'm gonna go teach this little old blind kid. I'm talking about it on the Special Olympics too, man.
What? But breakfast? Boomhauer, no!
The ice cream lady's here. I need $1.50, quick!
Bobby, I don't think the Mrs. Dippy Cone lady is on duty.
Why can't Boomhauer date someone smart for once? Like a congresswoman so I could get my law passed.
Hey, screw you, Peggy. Where you work is not indicative of your intelligence. Well, okay, yes, people of low intellect have trouble getting jobs that require smarts, but that's not necessarily true of the reverse. No, I'm not projecting just because I used to work at a creamery. Later, Bill regales the tale to the boys of how he met the new love of his life.
Man, give it a goddamn rest. Go on, this little yak, blah, 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 jogging and just hush.
Geez, you want to talk about it, Boomhauer? Or, well, no, actually, he just said he doesn't want to talk about it.
Why should we have to listen to Bill blather on about some non-existent she-jogger that doesn't even exist?
The repetitive redundancy in that sentence hurt and was painful.
Let's face it, we've been down the imaginary friend road before.
You know, Larry and Wayne may have been imaginary, but they were a lot more supportive than you.
You didn't hear what they were saying behind your back.
Okay, I guess this is as good a time as any to say that the jokes in this episode are pretty good. None of them made me laugh out loud, but the humor is still King of the Hill quality. Bill devises a plan to prove that his new girlfriend exists.
Peggy, can I borrow a coffee cup? I need a second mug because I got a lady friend now.
This one's dirty.
Wow, Peggy, that's straight up cold. The thing is, I'm not even sure if she meant to insult Bill. The way she did that, it could easily come across as her trying to be supportive.
Do to me!
Snatch something from my child and then turn your back on me. Go on, do it. See what happens. The next day, Bill tells the boys of how he had coffee with his lady friend, and this time, he has proof.
I brought coffee for the two of us. If you're worried the caffeine will make you need to move your bowels, I live right across the street.
Okay, ignoring that this is all really desperate, Bill, why were you jogging in place? That wasn't necessary just to offer her coffee. The boys can see that while Bill wasn't lying about the woman's existence, he's completely delusional about her relationship with him. They try to tell him what's actually going on, but he's too into his own mind to listen.
Look, in a perfect world, we could both be married to Peggy. But this is reality, and I have to find someone here.
You know, with all the other content I've been reviewing, I sometimes forget how good King of the Hill is at making me speechless. Dale, now seeing the full situation, decides to help out. He tells Bill he can lure in the jogging lady by setting a trap. Like a literal trap.
We will dig a minefield of some 20-odd holes. She'll fall, twist her ankle, and you will come to her rescue with the first aid kit of love.
Dale, that is awful. It's well within character for you, but it's still awful. Boomhauer starts to give Bill actual good advice on how to attract someone, talk to them, but he gets interrupted when his own lady friend comes by.
Cover for me, Hank. Tell her like I moved to Denver or something.
Do you know if Boomhauer's back from his safari yet?
Oh. Okay. I guess it's once again time for the asocial introvert who lives his life on the internet to talk about relationships as if he's an expert. Now, you all know me. I'm conservative and was raised on Christian values, so I obviously don't approve of Boomhauer's promiscuous lifestyle. However, that's not really something I feel like I can look down on him for. Yes, it's a lifestyle I don't approve of, but it's not really affecting anyone but himself. The thing is, while Boomhauer sleeping around is one thing, him leading women on to think they can start a relationship with him only to then ghost them after he's gotten what he wanted is another. If you don't want to ever be in a serious relationship with someone, that's whatever. But I've made it clear in the past that communication and integrity are important, and I stand by the opinion that ghosting people is cowardly. You know what? Take the relationship part out of the equation. Using someone to get what you want and knowing they expect something in return, but having no intention of holding up your end of the bargain is scummy in general.
Wait!
She's not coming back, honey.
Course she is. She's Mr. Boomhauer's girlfriend.
You know how you can be happy eating vanilla ice cream day after day after day? Well, Mr. Boomhauer isn't just like that. See, he likes to try different flavors.
It's very weird having Luann having to explain something to someone else. It's even weirder that the analogy she's using is actually very coherent.
But he can have a new flavor every day.
Mr. Boomhauer had grown-up sex with the ice cream lady, and now he's dumped her.
I'm sorry, grown-up sex? I mean, I guess there's technically more than one kind, but I would really hope adults wouldn't need to specify.
I gotta walk 8 blocks to Carter's Market now and get my ice cream.
I bet Bobby wishes Boomhauer dumped the asparagus lady.
Oh, okay. So you think Boomhauer's promiscuity is amusing?
What? Peggy, no. Hank thinks Bobby getting annoyed by Boomhauer's promiscuity is amusing, not the promiscuity itself.
Do his stories entertain you? Is that how you get your freak on?
My what?
I'll leave you alone with your dirty thoughts.
Peggy, I know you're annoyed at Boomhauer's lifestyle. I am too, but you're taking it out on the wrong person. In case you forgot, Hank is more prudish than you are. So Bill and Dale proceed with their plan. What? Bill, what are you doing? I mean, it makes sense that Dale would come up with something like this, but I thought Bill would be too nice of a person to try it. With the holes dug and Bill's first aid equipment ready, all he has to do is wait.
I'll help you, ma'am. Just tell me where it... Ow!
Bill, you dug the holes. How is it possible to be this incompetent? Just look down. Bill's noises once again stir up Boomhauer, who becomes the new knight in shining armor for the jogger.
Please come back! No!
I mean, I don't feel sorry for you, Bill, but at the same time, I'm not exactly rooting for Boomhauer. Even if he didn't set it up, Boomhauer knew that was a trap to make the jogger woman feel vulnerable so she could be romanced. Knowing that, but still romancing her after she falls into the trap feels almost as scummy as actually setting it up. Also, there's a part of me that is annoyed Boomhauer decided to go after someone his friend told him he liked, but I've never been completely sold on the rules of dibs, so I'm gonna ignore it. Later, after the jogger has been tended to, that's code for she had grown-up sex. Bill confronts Boomhauer, revealing to the boys what all transpired.
Dang it, Boomhauer. Now we'll never hear the end of this.
No, you will not hear the end of this.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, you dug your own grave when you dug them dang old potholes, man.
I want to be clear, I'm not rooting for anyone here. But Boomhauer, the crap kind of logic is that? Digging the holes wasn't what destroyed his plan, it was him falling into them. Wait, that's good life advice, I should write that down. Sometime later, the lady jogger returns, but because he's already had grown-up sex with her, Boomhauer pulls his usual shtick.
A jaguar, woo.
Man, you're talking about a dang old sweet ride.
Wow, Boomhauer, you absolute gold digger. All it takes is a nice ride and suddenly you're not a heartbreaker anymore. The ice cream lady was gonna cook you breakfast.
Now, I'm Bill Dauterive. I'd be honored if I could have some of your hair for my collection.
Why you gotta make things weird, Bill?
I didn't know you like classic cars. Then again, the only thing I do know about you is where you're ticklish.
Why did he get out on the driver's side? We just saw him open the passenger door. Later, after having had more grown-up sex, we see Boomhauer and the jogging lady, whose name is Marlene, getting to know each other a bit more.
Mama saying, you know, go in electrical engineering, Boomhauer, they're gonna make me proud, you know, but I just don't do it, man.
Thank goodness. Engineers are way too uptight.
Hey, wait, should I be offended by that? I mean, I have the degree, but I'm not actually a computer scientist. I'm a YouTuber. Also, I still don't know if computer science falls into engineering. It's like perfectly slotted between that, scientist, and mathematician. You know what? I've decided none of this matters since I am uptight. Marlene and Boomhauer decide to have more grown-up sex, but this time, Marlene takes Boomhauer back to her place, and it turns out she's filthy stinking rich. I mean, sure, a mansion and a pool are nice, but are they really comparable to someone cooking you breakfast? You guys think I'm joking, don't you?
Yo, women, you want to get a man? This what you do. You put a pot on a stove. Every day at 6 o'clock, a man will show up to that pot.
There's OJ in the fridge. Make yourself a little something to eat. Do me a favor and press activate to set the alarm on your way out, okay? Bye.
Boomhauer takes a look around at Marlene's place and decides to call up the boys. What, does he need a ride home or something?
I just turned on the backyard grill from the swimming pool, and Peggy said man would never be able to do that.
Nani? Boomhauer, this isn't your house. You can't just invite people over, especially people Marlene doesn't know. Shoot, she barely knows you. As the boys are enjoying themselves, Bill reminds everyone that he's still not happy with how things turned out.
I was using the master bathroom, and I found this.
What in the Christmas Captain Crunchberries?
For a rich woman, she buys pretty flimsy underwear.
Dang, man, you put...
Bill, what is wrong with you? You are showing off someone else's underwear. That is not okay.
You're not normally so touchy about your girlfriend's unmentionables.
And who the crap is this character? Hank, how are you comfortable with any of this? You're in someone else's house and her underwear is visible. Where's the bois? There's supposed to be an earth-shattering bois. All right, I know the atmosphere is supposed to be Bill teasing his lifelong friend. If he had found Boomhauer's underwear, I could possibly see it as that and only that. But this is a stranger's house and Bill is waving her underwear around for everyone to see. Between this and digging the holes, Bill is really starting to look awful. Is this just a generation thing? Like, because I'm a sensitive millennial, I don't find this okay in the way a Gen X or a boomer would? Marlene comes home and, understandably, is not happy about finding a get-together in her own house that she wasn't invited to.
Oh, thank you, baby. How'd you go ahead and go make yourself one, too?
Wow, Boomhauer, are you kidding me? Read the room, maybe?
I'm sorry. Did you forget something?
Really appreciate this face right here. It just screams, your spell doesn't work on me anymore. And honestly, I can't blame her. Boomhauer leaves and tells Marlene to call him later. A few days pass and, surprisingly, he becomes attached to his phone waiting for her call.
Ring, man. Come on, baby. Please, man. Don't...
I remember when I fell in love with Peggy.
Love? Me?
Well, that depends on how you look at the word love. I would more so describe what you're going through as infatuation. After all,
love takes time and love takes work. At the very least, you have to know the other person.
Believing that he's in love, Boomhauer heads over to his mean boss house in order to get something.
About time I'm gonna ask you for that dang old ring.
Oh, Boomhauer, what thought I was never gonna be buried with it dang old thing. Oh, wow.
Did she just call him Boomhauer? I would have expected her to call him Jeff or some kind of relative nickname like Sonny or are you about to propose? Boomhauer, you just met this woman. Wow, this is like watching a teenager fall in love. By the way, if you've seen Patch Boomhauer, this episode makes a little less sense. If this was Boomhauer's very first time being in love or in a lasting relationship, then it'd be understandable why he jumped to marriage. But given that episode, we know this isn't his first time. So Boomhauer heads to Marlene's to pop the question, and pop the question he does. However, things don't go the way he hopes.
Boomhauser?
Okay, that's strike one.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I only understand about half of what you say. The other times, I just nod and smile and wait for your pants to come off.
Strike two.
Won't you marry me?
Whoa,
I see the pizza guy, but I don't see the pizza.
Yeah, that's cool, baby. Done plenty of dang old fish in the sea, man.
Oh, okay. You made it out of the scene without getting 3 strikes. I guess I can withdraw my rant. Later, we see the boys in the alley doing their usual, except for Boomhauer, who is...
Man, little barbecue sauce.
Yep, I know that sound. She's got you on the office speakerphone. You're a loser!
Well, spoke too soon because that's strike 3. Rant time. There's a weird shift in Marlene's character. Before the breakup, she seems genuinely interested in starting a relationship with Boomhauer. She approaches him, attempts to get to know him better, and doesn't kick him out of her house even after they're done with their grown-up sexing. But then after the breakup, the narrative switches. She suddenly can't remember his name, has only been pretending to understand him, and is laughing at him making a fool of himself over the phone. These two characters are very different. Now, it is possible that Marlene was putting up an act the whole time, making it seem like she wanted to start a relationship with Boomhauer, only up until she grew tired of him. This is a very stereotypical thing for people to do in one-night stands, and it's more than likely what Boomhauer did to lure in his various dates. The problem is, if the episode wanted us to believe Marlene only cared about sex and not Boomhauer as a person, why did it give her a legitimate reason to break up with him? Marlene no longer being infatuated with Boomhauer after he invited his friends over to her house without her permission makes perfect sense. My theory is, the episode wanted to put Boomhauer through the same pain he put other women through, but Boomhauer isn't the type to fall in love. The writers needed someone else to continuously approach him so that he would have time to fall in love. And then once he was in love, they had to find a way to kill the relationship without Boomhauer losing his infatuation so he could feel heartbreak. But if the relationship simply ended, Boomhauer wouldn't be going through the same thing, so they retroactively turned it into a she only wanted him for his body situation. It annoys me because while I don't think Marlene should have ghosted Boomhauer, I 100% understand why she broke up with him. I think it's unfair to this character to say, well, now that they're not together, we can make her look like the bad guy. Ugh, why is this episode making me defend a toxic woman? I'm a conservative, and according to Twitter, that means I'm also supposed to be a misogynist. This is gonna ruin my street cred.
I bet now you wished you'd only slept with 100 ladies instead of 101. Now you know how they all felt.
I mean, he could definitely be nicer about it, but Bill is right. Hank and Dale decide to take Boomhauer out tomcatting in an attempt to get him back to his old self. Peggy, however, hates this idea.
Peggy, do you want another Bill on your hands?
Take my car. It's a chick magnet.
Ladies, I'm gonna need your input for this one. Is Peggy's car indeed a chick magnet? Hank and Dale cruise around until they eventually find someone Boomhauer could potentially swoon over. It doesn't really work though, as Boomhauer is too fixated on the one that got away.
You guys should get this poor fella back to bed after what that cold-blooded witch did. Oh, turning down his grandma's ring.
Hey, every story has multiple sides. I'm guessing Boomhauer left out the part where he was planning on ghosting Marlene until he found out she had a Jaguar. Clueless on what to do, Dale and Hank decide to bring Boomhauer back home. That's because they're way out of their league here. All along, this was a job for the Billdozer.
Amateurs.
And here we go. Bill's famous speech.
I know how dark it is for you right now. You're in hell now, Boomhauer. And the only way out is through a long, dark tunnel. I know. I've taken that hit more times than I can remember. Look at me, Boomhauer. I'm fat, and I'm old, and every day I'm just gonna wake up fatter and older. Then somehow I manage to drag this fat old bald bastard out into the alley every day. You gotta get right back up on that tanning bed, slip into a tight t-shirt, wash off some of that cologne, and get yourself out of that tunnel and into some strange woman, man!
Oh, yeah, man.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about!
Right, yeah.
So, a lot of you intellectuals said you wanted to see me talk about this episode specifically because it's one of Bill's best, with this speech being the primary reason. Now, I agree, the speech is pretty freaking good. It's a variant of fighting against the fear of failure, which I'm always a fan of, and the diction, for the most part, is on point. However, while the speech itself works, it's in the middle of this episode. The episode that has Bill trying to injure a woman so she'll literally fall for him, as well as showing said woman's underwear to his friends. This speech does not make up for any of that. In fact, the only bad action of Bill that this speech narratively rectifies is his teasing of Boomhauer, which I'm gonna be honest, I did not care about. The boys constantly tease each other and cross each other's lines, and Boomhauer hasn't exactly been a saint in this episode. I'm with people who say this speech is a good Bill moment, but there's no way I'm putting this whole thing as a good Bill episode. When everything's put together, he comes out looking absolutely horrible. Not to mention, Bill doesn't exactly apply this attitude universally. Sure, he'll never give up when it comes to looking for love, but that's like the one thing. Everything else in his life he puts in little to no effort. He even says he's only going to get fatter, which, no, Bill, that's not an inevitability. You're not so old that you can't lose weight. We transition to the next day where Boomhauer, while feeling better, isn't quite ready to run back to having grown-up sex yet, as he's still got some unfinished business.
Boomhauer.
You know, I done went off and walked a mile in your shoes, man. I felt that old. I just want to tell you, man. I want to tell you, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. For all the inconsideration this episode has, I'm glad to see Boomhauer get some humility as well as some empathy for the women he's hurt. Now, if only he'd realized the value of someone who's willing to cook for you! The episode ends with Bill at a woman's prison, putting his money where his mouth is and what he said to Boomhauer about not giving up. And that was dang old love. A mixed bag in my opinion. The comedy works and I think the messages of empathy and continuing after heartbreaks are good ones. It's just, there's so much awfulness you have to get through. Bill acts really disgusting here and Boomhauer's not much better. At least no one was rewarded for their awfulness, and the whole point of Boomhauer's story is that he shouldn't be doing the things he's doing. So I'm not willing to say it's a bad episode, but a lot of it left me raising eyebrows. I'm also not happy with how Marlene's character is retroactively changed just so the episode could prove a point. Ultimately, everything that went wrong in the relationship was Boomhauer's fault, and I don't blame Marlene for wanting to end it, even though yes, she should have communicated better. All in all, a much needed and interesting look at Boomhauer's character, as well as a good moment for Bill to shine. I give it an A for effort, but the execution could have used more work. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.